Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? Well, I just made my first iced coffee for the day. That should give you a little hint about the time. And the sun is beautiful, so that should give you a little hint about the weather. Who wants to guess the time and the temperature outside? Who wants to guess? Are you guys ready? The little game we play every single day over here. Okay, the time, you're never gonna guess the time. The time is 5:49. I know, and I'm only having my first cup of coffee right now. I can't believe it. And the weather, let's look in here and see what the temperature is right now. I'm gonna guess and say, well, it's supposed to be cooler today than it was yesterday. I'm gonna say 72. Let's see if I'm right. 76 and partly cloudy. I was wrong. But you know what, I was looking in here last night, and it's supposed to be like 88 on Sunday, 87 on Monday, 89 on Tuesday. Whoo, heat wave coming through. And then upper 70s the rest of the week. And the pool is supposed to open next weekend. I was actually just talking to my neighbor across the street about this, about the pool opening next weekend. And we were talking about how the next HOA board meeting that they have, that we're gonna go to it together. Not cause any trouble, just like sit in they have it like at this church up the street, so we're just gonna go there and just like sit. You have to like, you know, be in the HOA or be a member of the HOA to like go to the meetings, but we're gonna go there and just like kind of see what they say and how it goes. They're open to anybody. Anybody can just sit there and listen to them. Because apparently, I was not aware of this. I know you guys think that like I keep up on everything that's HOA, but I don't. Like, obviously, more of the neighbors know about stuff than I do. Somebody's running down the street. Kids are running down the street. Is the pool open already? Oh, I hear bikes. I hear Dad saying something. But I don't know, like, the inner workings of the HOA board and things like that. My neighbor on the corner, she's on the board. Well, the guy that was like the treasurer for the board, he moved out of our neighborhood. But that was like 3 or 4 months ago that he moved out of it. And he would like always give us all these updates and stuff like that about like what was being spent on this and whatever. So there's only like 6 members on the board. So he's no longer on the board. But apparently like the vote was before that. So they put these ballots out every year. And the vote was before that. Oh, they're like, it's like a mom and a dad, and they're riding down the street, and they have those on their back of their bikes. They have those, they're like strollers that you hook on the back of your bike where the kid like, you know, sits inside the thing and then they pull it on the back of the bike, and then there's like a kid behind them. He looks like he's like 3 or 4 on his bike. He's doing pretty good for being that little. I don't think I learned to ride my bike. So I learned to ride my bike when we moved to the house that I grew up in, which we moved there when I was like almost 5, or I was 5 or something like that. So I learned to ride my bike there, which means it would have been around 5 or after 5. Is that normal? I don't know the ages of when kids, I don't know the ages of when kids learn to ride bikes. But that would have been for me. And it's so funny because my dad still has this tape cassette, and it's me like riding the bike out, but you can hear my mom in the background, and she's like, pedal, pedal, Peter, pedal, 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 pedal. My dad's like, just let him do it. He'll figure it out. And she's like, pedal, pedal, pedal. And I'm like, Mom. My dad has this tape cassette. And, oh, did he give it back to me a couple years ago? I can't remember, but anyway. He had this tape cassette for a long time. Or he keeps on bringing it. When was the last time he said something to me about it? Maybe he gave it to me. I don't even remember. Obviously, it's such a strong memory to me that I don't even remember if I have it or if I don't have it. I'll have to text him after I get off here and be like, did you ever give me that tape? So I should actually just text him about that right now, because if I don't, then I'll forget. Hold on a second. Let me text him. Where's he at? He has like DVDs. He turned like these movies. So my dad like made like 8mm movies back in the day, like me as I was growing up as a kid, and he and my mom and stuff too. And he said they turned them into DVDs. And also a tape where I'm learning. Ride the bike. He'll be like, I gave you that tape. Watch. I was like, hey, question. Do you still have those DVDs of Mom that you made and also that tape where I'm learning to ride the bike? No problem if not. What was I going to say? I'm like all over the place. So I stayed up super, super late the weather. Oh, the HOA. I am all over the place today. It's because I haven't had my coffee yet. That's part of the problem, see? So I was talking to my neighbor about the HOA. So the guy that was the treasurer, and he had been a treasurer for quite some time, he and his husband moved into our neighborhood probably like when Alex and I did, and he was a lot younger than his husband by like 25 years or something like that. And then his husband passed away, and he stayed in here. He was real active in our community. He was like the only other like gay couple in here, gay person in here in our neighborhood. And actually I think there was like a lesbian couple, but other than them, that's it. And so anyway, and I didn't really know him that well. Like, I think I even talked about that on the vlog. Like, I actually finally met him, like, was it last summer or the summer before that? I don't really remember. But anyway, so he left, and so he gave up his position. Well, they didn't fill that position of treasurer. Well, we did this vote, and so 2 people, because she said who they were, she was like, got voted in. But then there's like the president and then the person that, different positions, but apparently there's somebody that wants to be president and has been like trying to be president for years and years and years. And I didn't realize it because I don't look at the voting that close, but has like ran every year and never gets voted in. And apparently the board told 2 people that got voted in that they had enough people on the board, they didn't need them. Well, we have like 3 people on the board. My neighbor across the street, who she doesn't even want to be on the board anymore. And then like 2 other people. So there's like 3 or 4 people on the board that are making all the decisions for the neighborhood. And like my neighbor next door, she was the social chair, and she said she stepped down from that because she was having to pay for everything out of pocket. Like every thing that they would do where they would grill out by the pool, they would do that like once a month starting in the spring all the way through the fall. She had to buy like all the chicken, all the hamburger and everything for it. And she was like, I didn't mind doing it for a while. She was like, but they weren't even willing to like ask people for money about it. And then like every flyer that she had to print out and stuff like that, she had to pay for everything. She wanted to do like caroling. They said there wasn't enough money to like buy the candles, and so she was like, I was just gonna buy all the candles and whatever. Because I had said to her, I guess there's 113 condos in here. I thought there was like 60 or 80, but my neighbor said there's 113 in there. And so I said, even if 80 people only donated, what is $10 a year? That would be $800. That would cover literally everything that she wanted to do. And I would totally take over the social chair, and I would arrange stuff and whatever. And the thing was, she would hire these bands down there, okay? And then the bands would come and play, and they had like this, they would have like a food truck and whatever. Well, you had to pay to go listen to the band down by the pool. Like in our neighborhood, you had to go pay to listen to this band. I mean, I could sit out here right now and listen to it. That's how close it is to me. But you had to pay, and it was like $20. She's like, I had to charge these outrageous fees because I couldn't, to pay the band, I had to like charge $20 a person because I didn't know if it would be 5 people that show up or 20 people that show up. And, you know, like I had to pay the rate and all this kind of stuff. So finally she's just like, I just stepped down, and there's like no social chair. There's no social chair in the neighborhood. So there's nobody arranging anything social for the neighborhood. Well, this whole issue came up with my neighbor and I wanting to do the pool committee. And it wasn't like really an issue. They just kind of like acted like they didn't need us to do that. Now they can't get people to like deal with the pool and stuff like that. So when I was talking to her today, I said, it's interesting to me, because she was like, did you not know that there were like 2 people that we voted in, and then they said they didn't even need them for the board? And I go, so we've got 3 people that are running the whole thing. We've got like and she's like, yeah, and they've been on the board for like 20 years. Other than my neighbor in the corner, she's a secretary. And I go to the pool with her and all this kind of stuff. Other than her, the other people, like, they've all held some position on the board for like 20 years, 10 or 20 years. And then the one guy that goes, he is like an old president, and he like apparently gets a vote. I don't know why, when he's like an alumni president or whatever. So the whole thing is like so screwed up. So I told her, I said, maybe and she goes, you always joke about like running for something. And she was like, but I really think that you care about this community. And she was like, you really care about the neighbors and stuff like that. And she was like, I think you should go. Like, I think it would be, I think you should run for something. I said, here's the thing. I know, like, I mean, if there's 113 homes in this neighborhood, I might know like 20 people, and I might know people from the pool and stuff like that, but I don't know enough people to run for a position that I'm going to get voted in. I don't know that many people. There's a lot of people that only live here like during the summer that, I mean, it's an older neighborhood. A lot of people have condos in here, and they only are here in the summer to visit their grandkids and things like that, or whatever. They're gone for the whole winter and things like that. I mean, it's dead in here in the winter. There's really not that many people. And so, yeah, so I mean, I don't know that many people. I wouldn't probably get voted in. I know it seems like I know a lot of people because I know the people that walk by my condo. I know the people that are in my general vicinity. I know the people that go to the pool, but outside of that, I don't really know a lot of people. So, and I would do it. I would totally run for the HOA. So I don't know. I want to go to the board and I want to kind of see what's run. I wouldn't want to do something like, he is racing down there with the construction van. I wouldn't want to like do the treasurer because that's like all the money and stuff like that, and I just wouldn't want to take on control over something like that. But I would, like one of the things, okay, so we used to have this landscaper that was like a big landscaper in Indianapolis. Now we've got this like smaller company, and they're okay, but they're out here all day Monday and part of the day on Tuesday, and they're out, I mean, they're here from like 8 o'clock in the morning until like 7 o'clock at night, all day. Like my neighbor across the street, she's like, I don't even want to work in my garden on Monday. She's like, because it's so loud out here. She was like, they're so loud, and they're out here like all day long and whatever, you know, like, and they're just like up and down the streets riding their tractors and whatever. So we used to have this big company. Now, when I found out that what we're saving a year is like literally like a couple $100s, I was like, so we went from, we had this great landscaping company. Then we took a lower bid, and that was who we had the last couple years that nobody was happy with. Now we've gone with somebody that's like the friend of somebody in the neighborhood, you know? And if anybody's like, I can't believe, you know, blah, 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 whatever. So now we're going to like this friend of the neighborhood, and I'm like, okay, well, let's give them a chance. The guys are nice. They're real nice, right? But when we had like the larger landscaping company, they would do small jobs. So like if you wanted your, I mean, there was like 30 guys that worked out here. So if you wanted, like, let's say, and they would finish your landscaping in like 4 hours. The whole neighborhood was done in like 4 hours. And so, and it was beautifully done. And they did all of like the pruning of the trees, and they kept the plants up at the guard gates and stuff like that, and the pool, everything really nice. Now we're doing all that. We're doing all that on our own. We're doing the guard gate, apparently. I thought the new landscaping company was doing that, but apparently we're doing that. We're doing the pools because they asked my neighbor across the street, because she's a master gardener, they asked her to do the plants. But last year she did the plants, and she doesn't even go to the pool, and they told her that they were like, she's like, what's the budget for the plants? And I'm like, oh no, you have to pay for the plants. What? Like, this isn't even making any sense. Not only that, but our HOA is like it's like an outrageous amount of money, right? So when we had these guys a couple years ago, that was like this, it's like one of the top landscaping companies in Indianapolis. They would like, I could hire them for like 150, 200. Well, one year when she and I both like didn't weed our yards, they like came out here and did it, and they just gave me the bill, and it was $150, and they were done in like 2 hours or something like that. And it's like my whole thing, it's like 4 of them just like, I think they were done like probably like in a half an hour. It's like 4 of them just came out here and like weeded everything, heavily mulched it. It looked gorgeous. The whole summer it looked gorgeous. So they would do like people's stuff. So if you wanted a tree planted, or you wanted this or whatever, like you could outsource that stuff individually and pay for it privately. Well, now this new landscaping company won't do that, right? Which is why this woman that, I keep on seeing my phone. I thought my dad like had texted me back, but he hadn't yet. Which is why this woman in the neighborhood, she doesn't live in our neighborhood, but she's probably making so much money, and there's 20 people ahead of me because there's no place. I mean, the thing is, most landscaping companies, unless like your contract is for this neighborhood, they won't do like just a job like that. Like most big landscaping companies want big projects, like a whole yard or several trees and shrubs and things like that. Like they don't want to do 20 feet of walk and for $100. Like for them, like it's not worth the time, right? But when they were doing it in our neighborhood, like every week they'd have like 10 extra jobs, and so they were making money off of it. Well, now the landscaping company that we have, they can't handle that because they don't have enough people working for them. Which apparently, it seems like they have more than I thought they did. Oh, they look so cute riding on their bikes and stuff like that. So I don't know, but people are like not happy with what's going on with the HOA. So I said to her, And I didn't realize that people were this unhappy with it. And she was like, yeah, a lot of people are unhappy about it. And like, what's going on and where our money's going and why our rates are going up. But we're not getting like he's like her husband. He's like, one of the reasons that we moved here was because the landscaping in the yard was so beautiful. And then he was like, then the following year was when they, changed the landscaping company. And he was like, now our yards look like crap every day. I mean, a lot of people care about that stuff, you know? I don't really care. I mean, it's been raining a lot, so our yard looks a little long right now, and they cut it on Monday. But, I mean, I don't think it looks the greatest, but I don't think it looks horrible. It doesn't look like you're, like, driving down the street and the house has been abandoned. I mean, it's kept up, but it definitely looked a lot nicer a couple years ago. And they were very quick, too. So, I'm like, let's just get a different bid on somebody. This is the thing, they keep all this stuff secret until the very end of the summer, and then they put out the numbers of what we spent on landscaping. And then they're like, well, we did this or whatever. I'm like, we need to just get a different bid for next year. So I was saying this stuff to her. I was like, we need to get a different bid. We need to have a landscaper that will actually, because a lot of the people in the neighborhood are older. And I don't want to do it, but there's a lot of people in the neighborhood that can't do it. And they don't know who to call. There's not really a lot of people, unless you can find like a college kid or something like that, will just come and do like a job like this, right? And so it's hard for people to find people. And I'm like, okay, we need a different landscaper. We need a lower bid. And we need somebody that's quicker. And we need somebody that will come out here and do small jobs as well for all the people in the neighborhood. So that would be like one of the things. I said a lot of people use the pool, and that seems to be the last priority for the people on the HOA board, because other than my neighbor in the corner, which she doesn't like to get real vocal about stuff, nobody uses the pool that's on the board. So they don't care about the pool. They care about the tennis courts because they all play pickleball, so they really care about the tennis courts, but they don't care about the pool, right? Any of them attend any of the social things, and I don't either, but like a lot of the neighbors do, and so they don't care about the social chair to put money in it. It's not like they only care about the things they're going to vote on, right? And so I said, that's so unfair. Like, we should at least be putting out like a survey, like in everybody's like mailbox, and asking like, what would you like to see us improve in the neighborhood? Like, what would our money? I've never, and I've been here since 2008, have ever gotten anything like that from the HOA board. Ever. I've never gotten anything where it's like, hey, could you like what are areas that you would like to see improved in the neighborhood? They make all those choices. And so there's been some things that's been said about just how the HOA board runs things and stuff like that, and they've been like on there for so long that maybe it's time to get like some fresh blood in there and stuff like that. So she was like really encouraging me. She's like, you would be good on the board because you really care about the neighborhood and you really care about the people, and it's not like personally driven. Like, you know, you care about the people that live in this neighborhood. You want people to be like happy and whatever, right? And so I was like, okay. I was like, well, let's go to the board and see what it's like. I mean, the thing is, you have to be on the board and take other positions. Like, I couldn't just run for president and be president next year. Like, that would never, I mean, I don't know how that would happen. I joke about it in my videos, but like, you have to be like secretary first, and then like this and like that. And, you know, so anyway, they didn't want us to do the pool committee. They like were not interested in us doing that at all. And we said we would completely take care of the pool, and we would like figure out the plants. We would like talk to the pool company and all that. But the one thing we wanted to exchange for that was, because like the guy that used to do the pool, we wanted to be able to decide when the pool opened and closed. Well, when they heard that, they said, well, we don't have any need for a pool committee. And we're like, okay. Now they're asking people to volunteer for this and volunteer for that and do this and do that and come down there and fix the plants. We were going to do it all for free. We were going to do it the whole summer all for free. All we wanted to do was be able to choose when the pool opened and closed, because we're the ones that use the pool the most. I think that's a fair trade. But they want to have so much control over it. Now they're asking for all these volunteers to do this and do that. I'm like, no, No, we offered, she and I offered to do the whole thing. The whole summer. Arrange people to come check the pool. We were going to go up there. One of us each day was going to go up there and clean the pool. We were going to talk to the pool company. All that kind of stuff. We were going to arrange all the plants and the flowers and all that kind of stuff. I would have like paid for every plant that's up there. They didn't want our help. There was no need for a pool committee, is what they told us. So, okay. But now you're asking for help. But you don't want us to be the pool committee because you don't want us to have any say. And when the pool opens or closes, you guys get to decide that. It's all ridiculous. So anyway, I was talking to her about that today. Her neighbor next door on the other side, I don't know him. I mean, I would see him a couple times when he would leave for doctor's appointments and stuff like that. Was a very nice guy. He would always like sit on his porch and with his like cats, and like he would read out there and stuff like that. But he was like in his she said his upper 80s. I feel like he was older than that, though. But he's lived in here, like, this is, he doesn't really go out at all. Like, he's lived here since we've lived here. I think he moved in a couple years after we had, and, like, other than, like, he like, really never drove, and so other than, like, him going to doctor's appointments, and if I was out, like, with Boo or something, he'd, like, wave and whatever. He was, like, this really small, like, older guy that lived by himself. Well, apparently he's been, in this, like, was in the hospital, and then he was in an assisted living program for a while. His family's over there a lot, like taking care of the cats and taking care of the condo and stuff like that. Well, apparently he passed away last night, which is so sad. He hasn't been in the condo for a while. I thought he was. I thought he was back. They said he wasn't. I guess we were confused. We thought he was back in the condo, and then because the family was over there so much, we thought they were bringing him stuff. She was keeping up on it. Well, I guess he was. He was back for like a month, and then he went back into the hospital, and he went back into assisted living. And she was like, because they live right next to him, like their condo is connected, like ours are. And so she and her husband had checked on him, but I didn't really know him. I don't know anything. His entrance is over the back and stuff like that, so I literally never saw him. I can't see his condo from here or anything like that. But it's so sad that he passed away. He had been sick for a really, really long time. And so yeah, that's really, really sad. He had 2 cats, and she said, and I was like, well, what's going to happen to his cats? Because his cats were always, he had this beautiful screened-in porch. And I said, well, what's going to happen to his cats? Because his cats were always out there, you know? And she said, well, his cats are 17 and 18. And she said, one of them's really, really sick. And she said, so they have cats too. They have big cats. So my neighbors across the street and the man that passed away, they used to do this mobile pet service where the mobile pet grooming would come out and like groom their cats and stuff like that for them. It was like this big van. She said she retired, and that's why they're using this new service. So when she retired, the woman started a like end-of-life cat care service where she takes in like older cats that like their owners have passed or they don't have homes to go to, like basically senior rescue cats. And so she said she contacted her, and then she gave her number to the family, the woman's been taking care of the cats that the family hired. I didn't even know any of this was going on because I don't really know him very well, but there's been this woman that's been like cat sitting or whatever, like coming over and taking care of the cats. And so she gave the number to her because they didn't know what they were going to do with the cats. And apparently he has like 2 family members, and it's like they're like distant family or something like that. I would see family come in there all the time, but she also said it was like people from the church, and I don't know what that means. There's always like people in the church, and I don't know what church, I don't know what the people are from the church, but there were like people that would come in and like and do stuff to the house or help out or whatever. That's why I thought he was here for a long time, because I said to her, I was like, he passed away last night here? And she was like, oh, no. She was like, he was in the hospital, now he was in this assisted living program. But anyway, so she's trying to arrange it so that the cats are taken by this woman, and basically what she does is she takes in like elderly cats that whatever are, you know, like in need of homes or are sick or whatever, which I think is that's really sweet, but it makes me kind of sad. I didn't really know him very well. I mean, I knew him by name, and like I said, like the only times I ever saw him was when he would be with like in the passenger side of a car with somebody, and he would like wave to me like when he was like leaving to go to like, I assumed like a doctor's appointment or something. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know what they're going to do with that condo. The condo has a beautiful view. It's the same view that they have, but he's on the corner, so he has even more of the view of that. So sad, though. Did you guys hear the story about... I about like lost it when I read this online last night. I saw it on Twitter, and then I started reading some articles about it, about the 10-year-old kid from Greenfield, Indiana that took his life because he was being bullied about his teeth and his glasses. Did you guys hear about this story? This is when people tell me, oh, we have bullying protocols in place, and you know, like, bullying's not such an issue, or people will say, like, Peter, why do you, like, one of the reasons why I still share my story of bullying is because it's not just kids, it happens to adults, too, you know, and to really let people know that this is still going on today and how serious it is. It absolutely broke my heart, and to see this video of his parents, and people were being so disgusting in the comments of this thing on Twitter, and they were like, I blame the mom and dad, like, why did they contacted the school 20 times, the school told them that they were taking care of it. And the kid would come home and he would cry, and they're like, why did they continue to send him back to that school? I think parents, like, first of all, they lived out in the country. There's not a lot of options other than homeschooling and things like that. And it just, you could tell the parents, like, just they really didn't know what to do. And it's like, you're going to blame a parent. Like, this whole, like, kick somebody when they're down mentality is, like, so sick. Just so somebody can have an opinion online. Like, your opinion online is so important, you know, in comparison to empathy and sympathy for parents that literally just days ago lost, I think it was 2 days ago, lost their 10-year-old son who took his life. Like, that's, I mean, it's just unbelievable to me. 10 years old. 10 years old, you know? They showed this video where they were interviewed, and then the articles was saying what they were saying and stuff like that. It just was so sad. I feel so blessed that I made it out of that. I think when you're going through it, people don't really know. Like, well, my parents didn't really know how bad it was, because I didn't tell my parents a lot of it because I didn't want my parents to worry about me. I was, like, protective of my parents. So I was taking the full brunt of it. And it did start for me young. It started for me in first grade, you know? So when you're in it, and it happens every single day, and you're called the most horrific names, and you're the butt of everybody's jokes, and you even catch the teacher kind of snickering because she thinks it's kind of funny, and so you realize you don't even have an ally in the teacher, and you feel completely unsafe at your school, and you feel afraid physically, and and this kid was like, people were saying to him on, like, Snapchat, I'm gonna come and beat you up and stuff like that. I mean, he didn't feel safe anywhere. And I mean, I don't know what I would have done if I had lived through what I went through at the time, if there were social media where people had access to me there as well. Like, I don't know. I don't know that I could have handled it. It just, because it was like, being done with school at the end of the day was such a safe place for me. And I can remember the days that I would come home and, like, you know, my mom's drinking was bad, but it got progressively worse through the years. But there would be the days that I would come home where my mom had been drinking a lot. And I can remember there would be a few days where, like, I really had a tough day, and I would come home and my mom had been drinking, and I just feel like, and I would feel like there was no place that was safe for me. You know, no place was safe for me. And I think when you're going through it, I think we almost talk so much about it now in society that people are kind of desensitized to the word bullying a little bit. Like, they don't really believe, like, it's that bad. And, you know, the thing is, in, like, talking to, like, so many people about it, like, it's interesting to me in reading the story, like, you know, my story is that I was bullied for being effeminate, and kids called me gay. But, like, this kid was bullied for his teeth and his glasses, which is, it's just, like, so sad to me, because I don't know, it's just, and then, like, I have a friend of mine, she almost took her life, and she was bullied because she was so skinny, and people would make so much fun of her for being so thin and things like that, you know. When she was growing up, she was like, I can eat whatever I want to eat, and I just don't gain any weight, and people used to always make fun of me. I've had friends of mine, you know, one of my dearest friends in high school, all through school, was bullied for her being heavy. And I can remember talking to my girlfriends in high school about how mean girls were. Like, girls bullying girls about their breasts or acne or the frizziness of their hair. Or, you know, I can remember this one girl that I was friends with, and she had really, really curly hair, and I remember later talking to her, and she was like, girls were so mean to me about how curly my hair was and stuff like that. And she's like, if you didn't look a certain way, like girls, like, that whole mean girl, I mean, this is long before the movie ever came out. She's like, that whole mean girl, it's so true. And, like, my girlfriends would tell me that in high school. And so I think for me a little bit, it was kind of like, well, I'm getting a lot of stuff because people are calling me gay. This is the other thing, and I don't know that I've ever, like, really expressed it this way before, and this is going to die here in about 20 seconds, but I think this part of the story is where, like, there's one piece that whenever I say it, Like, it always resonates with one person. But there's another part to it that I think I've never really put words to it, and I knew it was going to stop. I was trying to stop it before then. But anyway, but the first thing is that they stole my story from me. And so I felt powerless, right? Like, I wasn't allowed to come out on my own because they forced me out. And I never came out in high school. It's funny because, like, all these gay guys that I went to high school with, and they came out later, you know, I would see them at bars later and stuff, and they'd be like, thank you so much for coming out when you were in high school and being out, because, like, you made the road so much easier for us. And I'm like, I was not out in high school. I had a girlfriend. I mean, she ended up coming out herself as a lesbian, but I was not out in high school. Just because enough people say it doesn't make it true, you know? And I think that's really, really important to remember, that just because enough people say something about something doesn't make it true. Period, in a story. And I've been talking a lot about this on my Peterisms channel, because a lot of these meditations and these quotes that I've been reading have been coming up about this. But, like, nobody has the right to tell you the story of your life. Like, you know the truth. I share a lot of my life online, but there is so much that I never share online. There are huge amounts of my life that I never share online. There's entire relationships, and I mean, and I get on a vlog every day and I talk about my day, right? I also at times, like, leave out parts of my day. Like, I won't say, oh, I went and did this during the day, you know? And especially, I would say, since the stalking and harassing had started, because I have shown up to places and had people, I've gone to meetings before where people have come up to me and been like, oh, I watch your videos. It's very uncomfortable. And so, and they're nice usually, you know, but I've had it happen a couple times where it's kind of like weird to me. So, and that's something that I'm so private about, that I've kind of stepped away from that a little bit. Like, sometimes when I go to meetings, I don't ever say anything about it on video and stuff like that, because it started to happen more and more and more, and it would be like one person would show up at one meeting and I would never see them again, and it was weird to me, and it was almost kind of like, well, I say I'm going to a meeting at a certain time, and are they trying like 5 meetings until they find me? It felt weird, and it was people that nobody knew there, and I had never seen before either. So, there's a lot of things about my life that I don't share. There's whole relationships that I have. There's deep friendships that I have, that I don't ever talk about online, that I've never mentioned, that I've never talked about, I have friends of mine that are just as important to me as Tanya Jean, that I have never mentioned, never referenced in a video, other than saying a sober friend. Nobody knows that I go and do things with them because they don't want to be on video, and I don't want them on video because it's nobody's business. Nobody has the right to any part of your life that you don't choose to share. They don't have the right to decipher your life. They don't have the right to, you get to decide the story of your life and how you tell that and whatever, you know? And I think it kind of goes back to the whole, like, Viktor Frankl thing of the man's meaning for life, you know, and the idea of, you know, when he was a concentration camp survivor, and, you know, if I'm remembering the correct book, and they would walk him to the chambers every day, and then with him or a family member, him or a friend, and then it was always him that survived. And you know, what he learned through that is they can take my clothes, they can take everything from me, but they can't take who I am inside away from me, right? And people try to do that, I think. The thing about bullying is that people try to take my story from me. By calling me all those names and basically outing me on a daily basis, they took that whole thing from me. They took that whole process of me learning about myself and discovering who I am and allowing myself to have crushes. They took all of that from me, right? To the point that when I finally did come out, there was a huge amount of guilt and shame that went along with it, because I had been called these really bad words for years and years and years. It wasn't like people were saying to me, are you gay? It was people were saying it to me in a nasty way. There was something bad about it. There was something dirty about it. And there was something gross about it to them. So when I finally came out, I didn't feel like I could fully accept myself and love myself. That's a huge part of what pride is all about. And I think people don't understand that sometimes. Like, you know, the opposite of pride is shame. And so I felt a lot of shame for who I was, because for years and years and years, people made me feel a certain way. The other part to that, and this is something that I don't ever really talk about, is that as I'm like in junior high and high school, and I'm realizing that I do have crushes on other guys in my class and things like that, I'm being called those names. And in my head, the last thing that you want to be at that age is called gay, right? Like, it's literally, I mean, it's social murder, and nobody wants to be your friend and nobody wants to be around you. But at the time that I'm being called those names, and not gay, but like the most offensive versions of that name, as I'm being called that, inside, I know it's true. And so I feel like a fraud, right? Because I'm like, no, I'm not, whatever. Like, that's always my response to it. Like, you don't know me, blah, 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 whatever, right? And then I just didn't say anything. And then I just became immune to it. Because what I learned was to just shut your mouth was better than to respond. Because if you respond, it just made things worse. At 51, I'm still learning that, okay? I'm still learning today in my life online that if you say one thing or respond at all, it just makes things 100 times worse, right? But, and yes, it's bullying. Absolutely, 100% it's bullying. Call it whatever you want, okay? I still have the same reaction to it, physically and emotionally and mentally, that I had to it when I was 5. So be very proud of yourself if you're somebody out there that's part of that. You're doing that to somebody, right? But when I went through that at that age, I mean, I look back on that now, which is why I think when my past therapist said to me, did anybody ever say to you that maybe you suffer some PTSD from going through bullying? It was the first time that I really, really ever felt seen. Because I don't think that people ever understand. It's not just like I get in a video and go, yeah, I was bullied when I was growing up. No, it's you have no idea. It was literally every day of my entire life, of my entire existence, for 12 plus years of my life. 12 was a long, and all my years of growing up, that every single day that I walked into that school, that somebody physically threatened me, emotionally threatened me, called me names, put me down, made fun of me, and it was all centered around this thing of me being too effeminate. It was all offensive words around being gay. Well then, and you have to think that at the same time that they're calling me these names, I'm questioning in my head, am I not, am I not, and I'm having these feelings, right? So then I feel ashamed for having these feelings, because the last thing I want to be is what they are calling me, because then that makes it right? Which then affects me coming out, and me being who I am. And it wasn't like I just was like, yay, I'm out. Which is why I think drugs and alcohol played a huge part into all of that. Because now you are talking about, you know, a 5-year-old. Look at a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, like this child that just took his life, 11-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 17-year-old, through all those years, that every single day is filled with complete fear, anxiety, stress, has no friends, has nobody around him until his last couple years of high school, has no sense of belonging, isn't part of anybody, anything, doesn't feel like they can go to anybody and talk to them, teachers, administrators, or other students, doesn't feel like they have anybody, can't tell their parents because they don't want their parents to feel bad for them, so you're living with that all on your own, at 8 years old, at 12 years old, at 14 years old, at 16 years old, and then people later in life tell you should just get over it. This is why we need to take this seriously, okay? Because a 10-year-old just took his life. Like, this is not a joke to me. And this goes on every single day. It goes on in families, and as adults. It goes on in workplaces. It goes on in friend groups. It happens online. It happens offline. It happens everywhere. It could even happen in a neighborhood. You know, it's very important to be aware of that. It's like when we go to music festivals, they always have this saying that if you see something, do something. If you see something, say something, right? Like, I think we become a society where it's like we just kind of believe like, oh, that's just part of it. We have a friend of ours whose daughter was being bullied in school, and she's like in, I don't know, 1st grade or something like that, and she said she had called the teacher. This was months ago. She had called the teacher. Alex was talking to her on a speakerphone. I think I even mentioned this on here. And the teacher was like, yeah, well, like, she's, you know, instigating it and whatever. And this little girl is so sweet, and I can tell you right now, she's not instigating anything, and I know that for a fact. It's just like teachers would say that to me back in the day. I literally had no friends in school, and teachers would be like, well, you're the one instigating it. By what? Existing? By taking up space? I read this thing online. Somebody put this in the Vloggerinos group, and I actually did a whole dedicated video to it on the Petersons channel yesterday. And it said something about, you have a right, you don't have to explain to anybody, like, you have a right to take up space. I think we forget that sometimes, right? So I'm problematic to you because I'm breathing. Well, that's your fault. That sounds like a you issue, not a me issue. And I'm not gonna bend over backwards and explain my life or defend my life to anybody anymore. I don't have to do that to anybody, and neither do you. So my friend's talking to Alex, and she's very upset. She's like, I've talked to the teacher. I think she talked to her twice, and the teacher's like, she said she's instigating it, and she's coming home, and like her shirt was ripped or something like that. And I'm just like sitting there listening to it. And Alex was like, said something about her husband. She's like, well, he doesn't know, like, should we like really take it to that level? Like, do we need it, you know, whatever. And I said, and I looked at Alex, and I said, can I say something to her for a second? So he's like, I said, are you on speakerphone? I was like, hey, how are you? And she's like, good. And I said, you know my story about going through this when I was a kid, right? And she said, yeah. And I said, you need tomorrow morning, I said, you need to demand a meeting. My tripod fell. My battery is also flashing too, so this must be the really bad battery that I keep on forgetting to get rid of. But I said to her, I said, you know, tomorrow, I said, you and your husband need to call and schedule a meeting with the school principal, with the guidance counselor, and with the teacher. I said, you need to nip this in the bud. And they did. And it did nip it in the bud, you know? Because I think it's at least making people aware of it. And I don't blame teachers for it, because I don't think that teachers really know what to do in that situation. I don't, you know? I think I said that earlier. I don't think teachers have the support they need from administration. I don't think administration has the protocols in place to do what they need to do. They don't really feel like they can follow through and do what they need to do. And then teachers don't feel like they have the support from administrators. They don't really want to have to call. I mean, we're not talking about Little House on the Prairie where the parents would come in and you'd say, like, Johnny's not being nice to Susie, right? Like, and we're going to sit down here and we're going to deal with this. And Johnny and Susie are both in church on Sunday together. And Johnny and Susie's parents work together. Like, we're not talking about those days anymore, right? We're talking about, like, Johnny might be mean to Susie, and Johnny's parents, the teacher has never even met or talked to on the phone because they don't ever interact with it. And then so the first phone call they're going to get is Johnny's, like, really being really cruel to Susie and calling her names. Like, and teachers don't want to do that, and teachers' hands are filled, and their numbers are huge, and they've got too many students in their classrooms, and they don't know what to do, and they don't have support from administration. And then I think parents don't know what to do either. I don't know that my parents ever knew what to do. You know, a couple times my dad I think one time he showed up to school and, like, went off on, like, the dean and all this kind of stuff, and he had it. My dad had it, you know? I think, in retrospect, if my parents knew how bad it was, there was always a lot of discussion when I was growing up, you know, about public versus private schools. There was always a lot of discussion about that when I was growing up. My mom wanted me to go to private schools, and my dad said there was no need for it. They had both gone to public schools, and they did just fine. I think had early on, I told my parents, like, really how bad it was. And when it didn't stop, and had they got involved, it never stopped. Because it would have just made it worse. If my parents had gotten involved, it would have just made it worse. Like, that's the one thing about, like, bullies love that negative attention. So, it's like they almost kind of feed on it, right? Like, the reason they're doing it is because they feed on that negative attention. They feed on any kind of attention whatsoever. So the more you speak out about it, the more you do anything about it, the worse it makes it. That was true in 1978 when I was in first grade, and it's true in 2024. For kids and adults. Online and offline. That's the truth. And, I think had my parents known really how bad it was, I think they would have taken me out of school and enrolled me in a private school. That was an option for my parents. That's not an option for a lot of parents. A lot of parents don't have that option, you know? What time is it? A lot of parents don't have that option. They can't afford that. And, you know, in all honesty, even if that had been the case, I mean, there are great progressive schools, and like we have this, you know, a couple schools in Indianapolis that are just fantastic, that each student has a mentor and things like that. But I don't know that me going to like a Catholic private school or something or whatever would have really changed anything. I might have just turned around and been bullied there as well. It might not have changed anything, right? And I think it's about changing the culture. I think it's about changing the culture of anybody thinking that that's okay. And that's something that we have to teach from a very young age, right? That we have to teach that there's nothing okay with that. And it's not just about like putting it off and saying, I mean, it's like, it's this culture of that, this culture of this meanness, right? So anyway, yeah, I read that article the other day and it made me really, really sad. I read that article last night and it made me really, really sad. You know, and that's something that, you talk about 10-year-old kids having to live with something for the rest of their life. They have to live with the fact that the words that they use and the threats that they made caused somebody to do that. Can you even imagine having that on your conscience for the rest of your life? Would you even understand that conceptually at 10 years old? My nephew Carlitos is 11. He wouldn't even conceptually understand what that meant, the implications of that, probably until he was much older. You know, I mean, it just makes me so sad. It makes me so sad. On other news, tonight we are going out to dinner for Melissa's birthday. We're actually leaving here in like an hour. Less than an hour now. Did my husband just text me? Oh, my dad texted me. We're actually going to dinner in less than an hour, which means I need to get off here and start getting ready. We're going to Verde, which is just up the street. It's this Mexican restaurant. I absolutely love it. When my dad texted me, he said, yes, I got them for you for Christmas years ago. I have a thumb drive for you. I can bring it to you tomorrow if you like. That's so funny. I'm like, oh my god, no, I'll just get them next time I see you. He does not have to drive those over here. My dad's days are spent on his back patio, reading like 3 different books, 4 different newspapers, hanging out with the dog and watching the lake. He loves to sit out there. He's so sweet for offering, though. So yeah, so we're going out to dinner tonight. I have absolutely no idea. It'll be, well, Melissa and Jason will be there, and then Alex and I, and then Aaron and Eric. It'll definitely be the 6 of us. But other than that, I don't know who else she invited. I should actually text her and ask her. Oh my god, I forgot to tell you guys this. I can't show it on here because it's obviously a music video. But, here, I'll pull it up and show it to you guys. Okay, so the New Kids on the Block, their newest video on YouTube is called, it doesn't have a ton of views on it. It has 9,000 views. It's been up for 9 hours. New Kids on the Block Magic Blockhead fan video. Melissa got her part in it. I'm so excited. It's the part that Alex filmed for her where she's trick-or-treating. It's like right at the beginning. It's like in the first, I'd say like first minute. It shows her like walking up, getting her trick-or-treat bag, and then she goes like that. It shows the whole thing in there. She's so excited about it. She cannot believe it. She's like, I can't believe I made it to the fan video. And she's so excited about it. I'm so excited for her. I was like, that's the best birthday present ever. So anyway, so yeah, we're going out to dinner tonight. Text her. Who else we were texting earlier else is going to dinner? She usually texts me right back. I think we said 7:30 originally and then 7:45 maybe she said. Hold on, she said confirmed it. Oh, this is her and Alex going back. She said she's actually in there twice. She's in a flash mob scene too. I didn't see that part of it. This is the group text. It just like forever goes on and on and on. Oh, she sent it. She goes, oh my god, and she sent it. She said, I made the video. And Alex said, oh my god. And right at the beginning, he said, I feel like they used more of your video than most people. She said, yes and yes. She's so excited. What did we say? What time did we say dinner was last night? Or tonight? Oh, these are from, where? Pictures from Paris. What is this? Oh, she was showing us the, okay. Alex, oh, maybe, oh, this is the Alex, Jason, Melissa text message. The Alex and Melissa, okay, dinner reservations are at 7:45. So, I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. Tonight's not going to be a real healthy night because I haven't been to Verde forever, and they have the best queso in the entire world. It's like this white queso. And then they have cheese and corn empanadas. One year I got, one year, we only go every year. I haven't actually been there in a long time. One time I went there and I got a vegetarian burrito, and I was so put out by it. I was so hungry for a burrito. And they tried so hard, they really did. It's kind of like an upscale Mexican restaurant. And they tried so hard, and they put like broccoli and like whole tomatoes in there. I was like, this is so gross. I wanted like just a burrito with no ground beef in it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh, street corn. They have the best street corn there too. So I'll get like, Alex and I and whoever will get like queso and split it. And then they have different kinds of salsa. It's not like just regular salsa. It's like the authentic salsa. And so we'll get, that's like, you know, like the darker color salsa that's like almost black. And it's like really, really hot. And then the one that's like green. I don't know if that's called. But anyway, so we'll get queso. And then I think 3 empanadas come together. And then I'll get the 3 empanadas with street corn. That's not too bad. Yeah. And then I don't know what I'm going to watch tonight. Alex started watching Bridgerton earlier. He finished his show last night, his Neil Gaiman show that he was watching. And he started, what do you call it? Bridgerton today. He was like, do you want to watch it together? I said, let's just watch it separately because I don't know when I'm going to watch it because there's a couple other shows I want to watch. I'm kind of thinking I might wait until, because it's only 4 episodes they released. I'm thinking I might wait until the whole thing is out because the second part comes out like June 18th. I might just wait till the whole thing because I'm going to want to binge watch it. And I know if I watch these 4 episodes, I'm going to be like, can the next 4 episodes come out? Anyway, all right, I'm going to get off here. I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Friday and a fantastic beginning to your weekend. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. Happy birthday, Lena and Melissa. And I hope that you guys have a magically amazing Friday. Like I always said, short outro. I love you guys so much. Oh, wait, who just texted me back? Oh, Melissa did. She said Aaron and Eric. So I guess it's the 6 of us. So this will be real fun tonight. Anyway, I love you guys so much. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.